but you're going to arrest me for it. And they arrested me for that, and also sharing a Palestinian flag that said Hamas, Palestine, Islam, and I shared it and just said this. I've been arrested for that. We don't live in a free country. Now, I wouldn't mind, but they weren't arresting people for calling for jihad. This two-tier level of policing, they're not arresting. It's like hate speech laws are not there to prevent hate. They're there to shut us up.
Is there a British Revolution coming? Has the UK crossed the line of no return? And is there free speech truly? Well, Tommy Robinson, a very outspoken person who is a truth seeker, has this discussion, which I think you would find very informative and enlightening. Please watch it with me, and then we'll discuss it afterwards. Kindly subscribe to our channel so that a little bit of light can push away a lot of darkness.
People do you hear say we live in a free country? No one anymore. Everyone knows we don't. They're locking you up.
I haven't heard that phrase for years.
No.
See, I remember when I came to this country, I was a boy, right? That's what I thought. That's what I thought Britain was. That's what I thought the West was. And people would use that phrase. And in fact, I remember kids would tease me for being Russian, right? And I'd be like, shut up. And they'd be like, it's a free country. No one says it anymore. No one.
Not just anyone say it. You see what you just said. Up until 2009, when I started my activism, I thought I lived in a country with free speech. And then I realised, well, this country doesn't exist. And I'll give you an example. You know, I was just arrested for this GBH Section 18 to do with the gentleman. When I was arrested, I was detained and questioned and arrested for 3 tweets. One of the tweets I was arrested for was sharing a Daily Mail article. Yeah. Now, what they said is, they're basically trying to say, have you got qualifications as mainstream journalism? So I said, no. And then, so my solicitor said, well, all he's done is share what the Daily Mail said. And then they said, the Daily Mail are protected because recognised media are protected by this law. You're not. So it's like, well, I've shared something that's factual from the Daily Mail, but you're going to arrest me for it. And they arrested me for that, and also sharing a Palestinian flag that said Hamas, Palestine, Islam, and I shared it and just said this. I've been arrested for that. We don't live in a free country. Now, I wouldn't mind, but they weren't arresting people for calling for jihad. This two-tier level of policing, they're not arresting. It's like hate speech laws are not there to prevent hate. They're there to shut us up. And one level's being shut up and the other level get amplified opportunity to promote their hate and intolerance. If they want to implement real hate speech laws, this would be banned. The Quran would be banned tomorrow because there's 100 verses in here that call for violence.
Lots of books will be banned. You can buy Mein Kampf.
But that's banned. No, okay, you can buy Mein Kampf.
I thought you were going to pull it out there, Tommy.
You can buy Mein Kampf, but these 3 books are banned by Amazon, yeah? This is just my life story. This is not my opinion. This is the Quran. And what this Quran does, do you know the term Islam is the religion of peace?
I have heard that.
Yes.
But no one had ever said it until George W. Bush. We sat for months trying to find, historically, figures, military, religious, political, that ever said Islam was religion of peace. And all you'll find is Islamic leaders saying, no, it's a war manual. It's warrior manual, yeah? So that lie, which was told by George W. Bush, is now just repeated as some sort of fact. But these books were all banned by Amazon. As you just said, you can buy Hitler's book. So how can you ban? There's nothing hatred in these, but you're literally burning books now. And you're burning books that challenge your failures again. And what is the demographical change to this nation? And what does it look like? So as anyone watching this, okay, 5-6% of the country are from the Islamic background. Look at the mayhem from 5-6%. What do you actually think it's going to be like at 20%? This isn't fear-mongering. We've got a duty as English men and women to protect this country and to protect our kids. And everyone's seen what's happened since October 7th. It's accelerated. Well, what are we going to do? Because unfortunately, a lot of the groups that were for harmony are actually calling for the obliteration of an entire state of people. And people have seen it now. There's no smoke screens. People can see the hate. And it's not a minority, it's mainstreamed. And unfortunately, that mainstream hate is coming from the left and the liberal left, along with an Islamist alliance, which we've seen this alliance before. We've seen it in Iran. We've seen where the communists and the Marxists joined along with the Islamists to overthrow and topple the country. And the first thing that the Islamists done is kill them. So we've seen it. And I just think that, do you know, as a generation of British men, are we really scared to talk about this shit? Are we actually going to remain silent and look at our country and see that there's 1,000 years of Christian history in this country? over 1,800 years Christianity's been in Britain, but 1,000 years of England. We're going to let, in 70 years, spineless, corrupt, globalist politicians import medieval backward cultures into this country and allow them to grow dominant and superior to us? That's what we're seeing. Luton is a blueprint for every town and city. You can ignore it because you think it's Luton, but it's your town tomorrow. And the demographical change and the growth in this nation shows that. So yes, you made the comment earlier about your taxi driver, who's probably a lovely man. I bet a lot of Germans were lovely during the war. I bet loads of them were lovely. It doesn't stop the dangers of Nazism. What we see with Islam, not Muslims, again, people don't understand. So if I criticise the Bible or Jesus, it doesn't mean I hate Christians, does it? It doesn't mean I hate every person that follows it. So separate the two. Muslims are people. If you speak hatred against Muslims, it's bad. You entice or encourage violence against Muslims, totally wrong. Your God-given right is to look at this book as an Englishman and say, what does this bring? It's a book. It's my right to look at Muhammad's life and say having sex with children is pretty wrong, though. Yeah? You're not really a moral compass that we should be following. In fact, we shouldn't just be following you. Do you know my local politician, Gavin Suker? He was a Labour politician, and at the height of the English Defence League, I'd never met him, and there was a chicken shop in Luton, and he was in there. So I walked in and said, all right, Gavin, you held a Celebrate Muhammad Day at Parliament. He said, yeah. I said, what do you know about Muhammad? What do you actually know about him? He goes, well, no, Muslims respect him. I said, okay, well, Nazis respect Hitler. Let's celebrate Hitler, shall we? What do you know about him? And he's just looked gobsmacked. You don't know anything, do you? You don't know anything about him. Yet here you are pandering. It's like Jess Phillips basically sitting on her knees in a mosque. It's mental. The level of absurdity, appeasement, cowardice from those politicians. We've got 650 politicians in Parliament and not one of them's ever spoke about Islam. Since Churchill and Gladstone, no one in that House of Parliament, bearing in mind the jihad attacks, think about Manchester, think about 7/7, think about Lee Rigby, we've had all these attacks.
But it's worse than that, man. It's worse than that. One of their colleagues was killed by an Islamist. So David Ames, do you remember this?
Yeah, but the public probably don't even know who he is.
Because all the MPs stood up. Do you remember what they talked about in the House of Commons?
Probably Islamophobia.
No, they talked about online hate.
We
got to crack down on their colleague has just been murdered by an Islamist.
Somalian jihadist, wasn't it?
Right, murdered by an Islamist in a surgery, in a constituency surgery, i.e. the thing that they all go and do
and
once a week.
His family is still trying to fight.
They're still trying to get
his whole family is still trying to fight.
His daughter.
His daughter's still trying to fight against a system that. Do you know why they can't have that conversation again?
I can tell you why, because I've speak to them.
Go ahead.
They're all terrified. And by the way, like you said, they're not wrong. They're not wrong to be terrified.
The problem is they're terrified, but we're not anymore.
I don't think the public is terrified.
The public are not terrified anymore.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, you put us in prison. Yeah, well, that didn't work, did it, mate? You know what I mean? That doesn't work. Okay? That doesn't work. And it doesn't work because once there's a reality that the country is at stake, that the entire Christian nation, that the entire population and culture and identity and children's future is at stake, we don't care about you putting us in jail. Yeah, because these are an argument I had with my ex-wife so many times. Yeah, she's like, just shut up. What about the kids? I said, this ain't about the kids. What about their kids?
I mean, it is about the kids.
But it is. But what I mean is, she's like, just shut up to make sure our kids have a say. I said, okay, but what about when they have kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're a minority. I know what it's like to be a minority in Islam. I've seen it my whole life. I know what it's like. Go ask the Christians in Afghanistan. Go ask the Christians in Iraq. Go ask them in Syria right now. Go and ask the Druze. Go and ask them what's happening.
You can't because they're fucking dead.
And they're all dead or getting killed.
The point that he's bringing out is about the kids. It's very interesting. Not many people know this, but when God gave Moses the 10 Commandments to bring to the Israelites in the desert on Mount Sinai, he asked them, Moses, I'm going to give you one of the most precious treasures ever, the Torah. I need a guarantor that it's going to be preserved and kept from generation to generation. So Moses says, I guarantee it. Me and my brother Aaron will make sure. Joshua will make sure. God was not satisfied. He says, well, there's the elders, there's the prophets, there's the teachers. God said no. That's not an acceptable guarantor. So, well, the parents who give birth to these children, they're the guarantor. Still, God said no. And then he said, God, the children are my guarantor. They are going to guarantee that your laws will be fulfilled and followed forever. When God heard that, God gave Moses the Ten Commandments. The concept is, yes, our children are our future. When we think about life the way it is, the world the way it is, how are we leaving the world to our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren? And we need to look on it as if we are in a boat. If we make 1 degree change, we'll have a whole different destination. Well, we know Britain, the UK, is going through a great transition, dealing with the influx of immigrants, mostly Muslims, where they want to put Sharia law as law. And that's becoming very terrifying to many. And then the question becomes about freedom of speech, and the question becomes about the rise of anti-Semitism. But the same identity crisis that UK is going through, France is also going through, Europe is going through, and unfortunately soon America is going to go through unless we understand what we're dealing with and we don't let it happen. When we came here to America, we all came here as refugees. We came here to this, God gave us to be able to have an opportunity to start over. We're a very young nation. 250 years ago, we're here compared to the rest of the world. And look what we did with America. Because we focused on the positivity. We focused on life. And the founding fathers of America was all about the Bible. It was all about believing in God. And God we trust, as it's on every dollar bill. When we come to a country, we need to come to a country with the attitude of being a guest and seeing what can we do to contribute. What can we do for the country, not what the country could do for you. And that premise will prosper as America has prospered. When the Jews landed on Ellis Island after the Holocaust, so broken, so decimated, so shattered, losing the whole families, dynasties, they came here as broken as could be, but they came to the shores of America and they say, thank you, God, we're starting over. We're getting back on our feet. And the Jewish nation as a whole became part of American society and found its way into every level to try to build and to grow and to be a contributing member of society. Until today, the Jewish community can pride itself of all of its accomplishments. Even before then, Chaim Solomon, if you Wikipedia him, Chaim Solomon was the one who financed George Washington's war. So the Jewish people by nature is here to try to assist and help and to be a light unto the nations. We are a nation of light, we are a nation of life. Unfortunately, we're fighting a nation that's a death cult. And only God can help them change their mind and begin living life, loving life more than death. When that happens, then the children will grow up and they'll be educated the right education and they'll see a better Middle East and a better world. God bless you. God loves you.